In 2005, a 29-year-old woman named Amber Rose was driving her Chevy Cobalt in Georgia when her car suddenly lost power on the highway. Steering locked up. Brakes went hard. Then her airbags never deployed when she crashed. Investigators later found the cause wasn't the crash itself. It was her key ring. The weight of her keys had been enough to bump the ignition switch out of the run position, shutting off the entire electrical system a split second before impact. The part responsible was a $4 ignition switch, and General Motors engineer Ray DiGiorgio had approved it in 2002, even though it tested below the company's own torque specification. That means GM's own numbers said the switch was too weak to stay in place, and it got built into millions of Cobalts, Saturn Ions, and Pontiac G5s anyway. Internal documents from that era called the defect a customer convenience issue, not a safety one, so no recall was filed and no drivers were warned. If you're the kind of person who wants to know the parts of these stories that never make the news, we post one of these every single day, so subscribe now so you don't miss tomorrow's. Here's where it turns into a cover-up instead of a mistake. In 2006, DiGiorgio quietly approved a redesigned switch with a stronger spring, but he never changed the part number, which is something engineers are trained never to do because it makes defective and fixed parts indistinguishable in GM's own database. That single decision meant that, when regulators and lawyers later tried to trace which cars had the bad switch, the paper trail looked clean. Cars built before and after the fix carried the identical part number, so nobody outside GM's engineering team could tell them apart for 8 more years. By the time GM finally issued a recall in February 2014, the company had accumulated crash reports, lawsuits, and even a 2005 internal bulletin describing the exact failure mode, all sitting unresolved while Mary Barra was stepping in as the company's first female CEO, inheriting a scandal she hadn't caused. GM recalled 2.6 million vehicles, and a compensation fund run by attorney Kenneth Feinberg eventually confirmed 124 deaths and 275 injuries tied to the defect, though independent researchers believe the real number is higher. The Department of Justice fined GM $900 million and secured a deferred prosecution agreement, but not a single individual employee was ever criminally charged, despite emails showing engineers knew the part failed spec for over a decade. Before you go, hit that like button so more people see this story, because most drivers who own an affected model never even found out why the recall happened in the first place. Amber Rose's family eventually learned the truth about her ignition switch a decade after her crash, once lawyers forced GM's internal documents into the open. Somewhere in GM's records right now, there are almost certainly other parts that got the same quiet, unnumbered redesign, sitting in cars nobody has thought to recall. Comment below and tell us if you or someone you know ever owned one of the recalled models, because for years, they had no idea their key ring alone could turn off the car.